In today's video, I will be going through the flip through of my New Mexico trip I took 3 years ago. Hey everyone, Kat here. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. For the ones that just recently subscribed to my channel, thank you ever so much. Every subscription counts. This is a project that's 3 years in the making. I went to New Mexico 3 years ago for a conference with my husband in Albuquerque, and we decided to make it a little road trip for us. Now, just to give you a point of view of where Route 66 is and how we got to New Mexico, is that we started up here. It's not on the route, but we started in Wisconsin and came down through the state of Illinois. Believe it or not, Route 66 actually starts in Chicago, and there are some signs there in Chicago that you can take pictures of if you are one of those geography nerds like myself. So we went down through the state of Illinois, crossed Missouri, crisscrossed into Oklahoma, into the panhandle of Texas, and then into Mexico. And it actually ends here in Los Angeles. So I decided that I was going to bring my little photo printer, decorate pages, bring things to journal about. That didn't work out for me. I did take pictures. I did bring this, but it took me 3 years to get to this state. And I'm going to show you what I created. I'm going to take it out of its holder here. That's a lot easier to maneuver around. Now this is a Traveler's Company notebook, and what's really cute about the passport size is in the back they give you like a little paper here to fill out, kind of like what you see in your actual passport. The front here cover is items from my stash. This design is by Kelly Bangs. I do not know if this is still available. And then this is some items from my stash, and I forget exactly who this is from. So let's start. This design and this little design here is also from that same thing of Kelly Bangs. I'm going to bring the camera in so everyone can see it. And what I decided to do, instead of keeping those like 2x3 pictures, because then that would have probably taken me 3 or 4 books, I decided to shrink down the photos. I will have another video explaining how I got those photos this size. So as I said, we started up in Wisconsin and went through the state of Illinois and then into Missouri. And we went through St. Louis, where the Gateway Arch is. I've only seen it on TV and in shows and in movies, and it was really neat to see in person. We did not have the time to go and take a tour around it, but we got close enough for me to take a photo of it. And then we were able to stop by a Trader Joe's in St. Louis, and I was able to get a Missouri bag. Before I go on, the Route 66 signs you see here, and then these little caravans you see are original designs of my own. About 5 years ago, I did a Route 66 set for a summertime type of theme for people to use that are going on vacation in different places. When we were in Missouri, we stopped by a place called Uranus. And yes, I am not joking. There is a place called Uranus, Missouri, and here's the proof. It's a gift shop that they started in the year 2000, a little offbeat. If you've ever been through the Badlands of the Dakotas, if you have been to other little places of that nature, that is pretty much what it is. And they are supposed to be known for their fudge factory, as they call it. They say the best fudge comes out of Uranus, right here. And they're on the historic Route 66. And the majority of the time when we were going down Route 66, because we did have a few days to spare, we did go the back roads of the historical Route 66. And there's a lot of places we would have never seen if we just stuck to the regular freeway. They're also known for the largest belt buckle. They're in the Guinness Book of World Records as the largest belt buckle. Unfortunately, I forgot to take a picture standing by it so you could actually see how large it is, but it was pretty big. And then when we were in Missouri I think we spent the night in Springfield, Missouri. We stopped at a place called Wally's. Y'all, Wally's is not Buc-ee's. I don't know who is familiar with the convenience store Buc-ee's, which is very, very popular in the state of Texas. But it was quite interesting. They had a Winnebago inside that they used to display some of the merchandise. They had this really cool sign out front. And they even had a barbecue station and a wall of beef jerky, but their sandwiches didn't come anywhere compared to the Buc-ee's sandwiches. And they had all these funky stickers that I got. Instead of a slushie, they called it a sloosh. And then I think their main mascot was this bear. Moving on, we went through Oklahoma. And unfortunately, Oklahoma did not have a Trader Joe's bag, but we did enjoy stopping at the different roadsides that had welcoming you into Oklahoma or when you were leaving Oklahoma. And it was really cool because they have found fossils of dinosaurs dated back to the Jurassic period. So that was really neat to learn about in Oklahoma. And then these are just some moments from the road. I didn't know where else to stick them, so that's why they're on this page. And then we got into the panhandle of Texas. And if you're not familiar with Texas, Amarillo is in the little panhandle right here. It's one of the major towns in that part of Texas. And in Texas, besides being part of the Amarillo being part of the historical Route 66, is the home of the famous Cadillac Ranch. Now, the Cadillac Ranch has been on my bucket list ever since I saw it in the Smithsonian magazine in my parents' house when I was little. I didn't think I would ever get there, and lo and behold, when my husband said we're driving through Amarillo, I said we're going there. Unfortunately, it was one of those summery, rainy days where you get the gusts of wind and the rolling in of the clouds of dust and stuff, but that didn't stop us. I don't know if you can pick it up right here. It was really flooded that day, so we weren't able to get very close to the cars without going through all the muck. They do have a stand there that they will sell you spray paint, so you can go spray paint something. We did not partake in that day because of the wind. There were some fools out there that were doing it, but it was really neat to see in person. And then as we were moving towards New Mexico, we stopped in a place called Shamrock, Texas and then we stopped in Shamrock, Texas, which was on the old Route 66. It was heartbreaking. We went through a lot of little towns that were thriving at one time. So pretend this is the old Route 66, and then when they made the modern highway, it was not very far away from the old Route 66, but just kind of like in the Disney movie Cars, as soon as that modern freeway came through, the old Route 66, a lot of those towns became ghost towns, which was really sad to see. Along the way, we are a sucker for wall art, and so these are just various places along the travels that we took pictures of those. While we were in Amarillo, we're like, we have to have tacos. I don't know if you've ever been to this place in Amarillo. It was all right. Being a native Arizonan, I was craving real Mexican Arizona style food, and that one did not deliver for me. We stayed at a DoubleTree, and if you have, you know that they give you these warm cookies while you're there. And then I decided just to start journaling all the food throughout our trip. So when we were staying at one of the Hiltons, their waffle machine was in the shape of Texas. And y'all, I had this sticker for years because I went to Texas one time before and stayed at a place where there was the waffle size, shape of Texas. So I'm like, I'm going to go back. I know I'll go back. And lo and behold, I finally got to go back. So now I finally got to use that sticker. When we were in Santa Fe, there was a woman-owned taco truck, and now my Arizona Mexican food heart was fulfilled by these wonderful tacos. It brought happy tears to my eyes. It was just what I've been craving. And I left Arizona in 2016 and been hunting for real Mexican food ever since. We did stop at a place that they had Bip and Bop. And y'all, it wasn't Bip and Bop at all. It was not a plastic, but a cardboard bowl full of cold rice, cold vegetables, and then some cold meat. It was very disappointing. If you know Bip and Bop, you'll get that one. Another place when we were in Santa Fe was Joe's Tequila Bar. So we had some fancy dancy margaritas and had some yummy salsa and chips. I even got myself horchata and then some nachos. And then in Albuquerque, where the conference was, we drove by and we did a double take. We're like, look, my name's part of an ice cream shop. So one of the nights we went there and I'm like, hey, my name is Katrina. And you'd think that the employees would be like, oh, cool. That's really neat. Here, have something free. They weren't impressed at all. They're like, well, what do you want? So I got a ice cream sundae thing and it came in their cup jar thingy here. And it's just a sticker, but it has my name on it. So now it's a pen jar in my studio. So that was worth the ice cream. When we were in Santa Fe, we asked all the locals, where's the best red and green chili? When you go, if you're not into spicy food, find something else to eat. But when you're in Santa Fe or when you're in New Mexico, it is a must to try different reds and green chilies. They are made differently in different restaurants. But I think we asked like 7 people and about 5 people told us about this place. So that's where we went to have it. And we were not disappointed. Even their sopapillas were out of this world. I really like Asian food, so one of the lunches we had was at a food hall that they named after their area code, 505 Central, and we had some ramen there. Another night, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes we get too hungry and we don't know what we want to eat, and so we just go to a go-to of cheese pizza, and there was this New York style pizza in New Mexico, which we thought was funny, but it wasn't that bad. Very cheesy, as you can see right here. So when in doubt, have cheese pizza. Another place in Albuquerque was more of a shishi food hall, and they had neko neko, and they were using the Takaki fish-shaped cakes that they would put the custard in and with the ice cream. A little disappointed. I asked for the red bean paste. They didn't fill it all the way. I've had it at other places where they fill it all the way. It was just kind of like a blob. And for dinner, we had poke, one of my favorite foods. And then just some other food from the road. And then they had a reception at the first night at the conference. So I got my fill of chicken wings. And of course, when I was in Texas, I had to have a water burger. I was remember how Kelly of Kelly Love Letters always talks about when she goes to Texas, she gets her water burger. And I understand where she's coming from, Kelly. I get it. I haven't had one since I left Arizona, and it was nostalgic for me to have a water burger. So that's why I did this page. Then we got into New Mexico, and these are just various signs of the historic Route 66. And when you cross the border, the welcoming sign. So I'm a sucker for those too. And then this was I'm not even going to pronounce it, but this was a teeny tiny town in New Mexico that has been long forgotten because it's on the historic Route 66. But they have this really cool, funky monument there. for Route 66. So of course we had to stop there and take pictures. And then as I don't know if I already said this in this video, but I'm a kind of a geography nerd when it comes to things like this. This might just look like a black tar line to the untrained eye, but this was actually the border between Texas and New Mexico. So I'm sitting on the border, and then we did a foot picture. And about 4 times now I've been on trips close to the Four Corners. And the Four Corners in America, let's see, that might show up better on this one, is Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, and Colorado. It's called the Four Corners. And there's a little emblem there. And I've always wanted to go there, standing on 4 states at one time. Some people are like, yeah, so what? Well, that has not been fulfilled because every time we've been in that area, it's been closed for some reason. So I made sure that we got to have a photograph on the border between those 2 states. Now, when we were in Santa Fe, we got to meet some really cool artists. And I got one of his postcards here. Oops. This is his artwork. And my husband likes to tell people that I'm an artist, and so he and I chit-chatted about art for a while, and he gave me some good pointers. And then if you've been to New Mexico or Santa Fe, it's a gorgeous art community in different areas of the town, and so we just soaked all of that in. And in Santa Fe, there was a Trader Joe's, so I was able to get my New Mexico bag for my collection. And I was happy about that. When we were in Albuquerque, because that's where the show took place, I'm not a fan of it, but my youngest son is. So I made sure we went to the Breaking Bad store. And at the Breaking Bad store, they had a little museum of different props that were used in the show. So I took pictures of that for my son. And then where the conference was being held, they had bronze statues inside of the 2 main characters. So here I am taking a picture of that for my son as well. And this is really cool. This is called a tip-in, if you don't know. When you put a piece of paper taped in with washi tape, then you're able to add more to your book. We did not go to the Meow Wolf Museum. The day that we decided, let's go to the museum, they were closed. We didn't do our homework. I know some other people have been to other ones. I thought this was like a one and done place, but apparently they're in other states. But they had some really neat artwork on the outside. Like this really cool, cute alien girl is this teeny tiny bull by this large wolf. And then they had this huge robot. And then if you put this station on in your car, you could hear the robot. That was really cool. Santa Fe, I love Santa Fe. I want to go back to Santa Fe. The Santa Fe rail yard, it was just kind of like the heartbeat of Santa Fe compared to the Old Town. Old Town is more touristy, but this is, I think, where the locals like to hang out. And so I got one of my favorite Mexican street foods, the mangosa, which is this place. They did it with the tamarind and the mango, and I think she put some other syrup in there. Oh, just love those. And this was a piece of artwork by a shop. A lot of people get their picture taken there. And I've so missed singing hanging red chilies since I live in the Midwest now. So I made sure to get my picture by those. And y'all, Santa Fe, Belen to Santa Fe, they have a business railroad, commuter rail just between those. It's like a 100-mile corridor, and Santa Fe is where they start. They start and they go down to Belen, turn around, and come back. No, we weren't able to take the train, but I want to go back and just do that as a day trip. When we were in Santa Fe also, we went to a place called 10,000 Waves. I don't know if anyone's ever been there. It's a Japanese spa, and this was a surprise visit for my husband. We were able to rent out our own little private area where they give you the warm spring baths and then the cold plunge. and those Japanese warm toilets, you know if you know. But while you're waiting for your area to be ready, they have this very long bench where you can sit and sip on some warm tea and soak your feet. And these are some of the buildings, and they had a couple Buddha displays inside, and it was just, I wanted to live there. I loved it. I did go to a couple coffee shops while we were on the road, and these made the book because I really liked the artwork of each of them, and this was one of those, the coffee holder things. So it said stay grounded, so that's why I did that, and I just cut them down a little further. And then this is a new idea of mine. Excuse me. Do not know if it has been done before. If it has, then please let me know and we'll give that person credit. But I decided to keep the key cards. I usually keep the key cards to use as scrapers when I use acrylic paint. But this time I decided to take a picture of the room. I don't know if you do that before you get it all messy, take a picture of your room. So what I did is I put the room on the back of the card. Now, when we got into Santa Fe, we were outside of Santa Fe, and my husband booked a room. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but he misread, and he booked us 2 singles instead of like 2 doubles or 2 queens. So it was cute. He was upset, and I said, "No, this is just part of our trip. This is hilarious." So we slept in single beds, and that was kind of fun. And then another Hilton we stayed on in the road. This is what the room looked like, and so I thought that was fun. And then when we were in Albuquerque, we stayed at a hotel, a local hotel called the Clyde. It was right across the street from the place where the conference was being held. And so then I just put the picture, whoops, there we go. Put the picture of our room there. So I thought that was a neat idea to remember, you know, a road trip or a vacation, and then what your hotel looked like. And then if I did take more pictures, I probably would have collaged them all on the back of that. And then last but not least, let's get this tip in, there we go, is that we were at the center, or I'm sorry, we were at the conference in Albuquerque, and we were from the central region, and so that's why this was on my name. And outside of the building, they had all these other bronze statues, and I kind of have a quirky sense of humor sometimes, so I just did all these silly things with the statues, and my husband took the pictures. And last but not least, this is a sunset from a mountaintop near Santa Fe. And living in the Midwest now, we don't get to see a lot of mountains. And so we made sure we were up there for one of the sunsets. And what made it really neat, it wasn't just tourists or people in our age group or older people. There was teenagers up there off of their phones, hanging out, waiting for the sun to go down. And I was in awe of that. And I thought that was so cool that they just would go up there just to see the sunset. So that is my traveler's notebook that I did for our New Mexico trip. And I will leave showing you my postcards. So thank you ever so much for joining me in this video. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.